Hey y'all, it's your fellow human being himself, Leo here, just wanting to do a simple tutorial on how to create pitched hi-hat rolls in Reaper using the MIDI editor. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using RS5K, and I have an 8-bar drum loop with a hi-hat on it. And here's what it sounds like. Now, the first thing we're going to do before we get into the MIDI editor is we're going to go into RS5K and change a setting that will allow us to play different pitches across our MIDI keyboard. So I'm going to go to my hi-hat track.
2 hi-hat 1 item.
And from here, I'm going to hit F to enter into the effects window.
FX : track 2 quote hi-hat quote. List 1 list. Cymatics - magic closed hi-hat 5 left paren.
And here is my instance of RS5K with the hi-hat sample loaded onto it. And I'm going to shift tab from here until I find a combo box that just says mode.
Portament port db edits edit semi release note - off custom detect browse import item from arrange button mode : combo box note left paren semitone shifted right paren collapsed.
So this is the combo box you need in order to allow RS5K to change pitch whenever you're playing different keys across your MIDI keyboard. Now, by default, whenever you instantiate RS5K for the first time, whenever you use it for the first time, it's set to
sample left paren, ignores MIDI note right paren.
Sample ignores MIDI note. So whenever you're playing this, what will happen is the hi-hat will not change pitch. So let's hit space right now to see what it sounds like. So that's the original pitch of the hi-hat sample, but where I have it located, where I've inserted my notes, is at a lower value than what the hi-hat sample is recorded at. So
note left paren, semitone shifted right paren.
That's why it's important to change it to this mode, because then it will allow you to play different pitches while you're inserting notes. Okay, so there is another mode just above this.
Freely configurable shifted.
Which I'm not going to talk about for this demonstration, but it does give you a lot more flexibility in terms of setting your pitch range for your MIDI controller. But yeah, just have it set down here to
note left paren, semitone shifted right paren.
Note semitone shifted. That's the mode that you would like to have so that it will allow RS5K to play different pitches across your MIDI controller, or when you're inserting different notes in the MIDI editor. So once we have this set, you can now hit escape.
Tutorial edits left
and now we can go into the MIDI editor.
2 hi-hat 1 item.
So hit Control left and right arrow to select your item.
102 - hi-hat - MIDI.
And now we're going to hit E to enter into the MIDI editor.
MIDI take : 02 - hi-hat - MIDI dialog.
So there are a couple of things that you would definitely need to know while you're in the MIDI editor in regards to how do you know what the pitch of your note is, how do you change your note, and how do you insert notes of different pitches within the MIDI editor. So the first, I guess, set of key commands that you would definitely need to know is how do you know what type of pitch you have? And you can know what type of pitch you have by hitting up and down arrow to cycle through the different notes that you have at any given position. So if I hit left and right arrow to go to a note.
Bar 1 beat 2 0% 1 note.
So I'm at bar 1 beat 2. And if I hit up arrow from here.
D sharp 4, 50%.
It will tell me three things. It will tell me the length of the value of the note, which is an eighth note. And it will tell me that it is D sharp 4. D sharp is the pitch. 4 is the octave position that it is in relation to C0, which is the bottommost note. If there were more notes, like if I
F4,
let me insert a note here.
50% 1 note, 0% 2 notes.
Okay, so now we have a position with 2 notes. If I hit up or down arrow from here.
D sharp 4, 50%.
I have D sharp 4.
D sharp, F4, 50%.
Okay, so it puts them one under the other. So D sharp is the top note.
D sharp 4, 50%.
F sharp 4 is the bottom note.
F4, 50%.
So that's one way that you can be able to move between different notes at any given position.
One event removed.
And to also know what your current pitch of any of these notes are. Now we're going to talk about some key commands for changing pitch and inserting pitch. So changing pitch first. The first key command that you need to know is the letter N as in Nancy. And this increases the pitch of any note by one semitone.
E4.
And if I hit Shift N, it will decrease the note by one semitone.
D sharp 4.
Okay? If I hit Alt N, it will increase the notes by an octave.
D sharp 5.
If I hit Alt Shift N, it will decrease the note by an octave.
D sharp 4.
So those are for changing pitch within the MIDI editor. And now we're going to talk about inserting pitch. And for inserting pitch, we use something that is called a pitch cursor, which basically is a cursor that goes up and down the MIDI controller and selects the note that you're going to be inserting at the next grid position. If I hit Alt up arrow,
E4.
it will move the pitch cursor up by one semitone. If I hit Alt down arrow, it will move the cursor down by one semitone.
D sharp 4.
If I hit Alt Shift up arrow, it will move the cursor up by an octave.
D sharp 5.
If I hit Alt Shift down arrow, it will move the cursor down by an octave.
D sharp 4.
So those are key commands that you will need for moving the pitch cursor so that you can be able to insert different pitches in your hi-hat rolls in this case. All these key commands are applicable to any virtual instrument. Don't just think it's just hi-hat rolls. Hi-hat rolls are just what I'm demonstrating here, but you can mess around with any other instrument, and these key commands will also apply to that instrument as well. Okay, now that we're here, we're going to mess around with inserting different hi-hat rolls with different pitches. And yeah, just kind of go from there.
Bar 1 beat 1 0% 1.
Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is using the pitch cursor to select my notes that I'm going to be inserting and then hitting Shift I to insert them at any point that I kind of feel like I want to insert a hi-hat roll. So I'm going to set my grid to 30-second notes.
Grid 30-second.
By hitting the number 3. And I'm just going to let this loop play. And I'm going to hit Control Space to pause it whenever I want to insert a hi-hat roll.
Bar 2 beat 2 1 note.
So I'm going to insert one at bar 2 beat 2. And this one I'm going to do a 5-note hi-hat roll. So I'm going to start, where am I?
0% 1 note.
Okay, so I'm going to insert one at D sharp 4. And then decrease by one semitone the pitch cursor.
D4. C sharp 4.
And then just do it to C sharp 4.
C4.
C4.
B3.
And B3.
Bar 1. Bar 3 beat 3 0% 1 note.
Put one at beat 3 too.
C4.
C4.
C sharp. D. E4. F4.
So what I'm doing is hitting Alt up arrow to move to the next semitone, and then hitting Shift I once I have the note selected. So that's what I'm kind of doing as my workflow. Now, if you like a certain hi-hat roll that you made and you want to copy it and paste it somewhere else as well, you can set a time selection around the hi-hat roll and hit Control Shift A to select those notes and hit Control C to copy them so you can paste them wherever else you want. So I'm going to go back to bar 3, beat 3.
Jump to.
I'm going to use the jump dialog. So hit Control J to enter into the jump dialog.
3.3.
Type 3.3 to go to bar 3, beat 3.
Bar 3, beat 3, 0%.
And I'm going to set a time selection. Basically, you do this by hitting left bracket to do the start of time selection.
Set selection start.
And then I'm going to hit Control Page down to move by 1 beat.
Beat 4.
And I'm going to hit right bracket to close my time selection.
Set selection end.
Okay, now that we have that, we can just hit Control Shift A to select all the notes within that time selection.
8 notes selected.
So we got 8 notes. Now hit Control C to copy.
8 events copied.
And then I forgot where I wanted to put this, but let's see.
Bar 4, beat 3, 1, beat 2, 50%, 0%, 1 note.
I think it was bar 4, beat 2. Let's see.
8 events added.
Yeah. Okay. So that's some 30-second no hi-hat rolls. I'm gonna mess around with eighth triplets.
Grid 8th triplet. Bar 5.
I'm gonna move up to bar 5 and then just insert a couple of notes here.
A 4. G, F sharp 4. E4.
Okay. Woo. Woo. That's crazy.
Beat 3. 0%.
Maybe an octave.
E3. F3. F sharp.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Bar 7, beat 1, 50%, 1 note. 0.
Now here's something also interesting. If you want to set a 30-second note triplet, you would just hit the number 0.
Grid 30-second triplet.
And this one is a pretty interesting one. So I'm just going to insert a bunch of notes.
A sharp 3. B3. C. D4. D sharp.
Okay.
Bars.
I don't know if you could hear that, but it's like that's different from this one. It's a lot more tighter than the typical 30-second note hi-hat roll.
Jump to time.
I don't know if that will help in any way, shape, or form, but yeah, you can definitely hit 0 by itself to just on the top number row to set your grid to 30-second note triplets. I'm going to select these notes.
8 notes selected.
And I'm just going to hit Alt-Shift-N to change them to be an octave down.
8 notes.
And I'm gonna hit them again.
8 notes select.
Control-Shift-A to copy again.
8 of bar 8. 8
and
events
just
added.
kind of copy twice.
Set selection. Bar 8, beat 3, 0, beat 1. Set.
So I'm hitting Control Page up and Page down to move by beat. Page up and Page down by themselves moves you by bar.
20 notes select.
And now
20 notes octave down.
what happens if I put him? Ooh.
Bar.
Okay, so let me see. I'm gonna pull in a sample and just see what it sounds like on the sample.
1 armed mic. 3 muted Giannis.
Okay, so I have a piano sample from my friend Tom Pham, who kind of recorded something while he was in Bulgaria. So let's see how this sounds now.
Unmuted.
Okay, so I think that's kind of it. Like, there's nothing really much else I would say to add on to this. The most important thing is make sure that that mode combo box is set to note semitone shifted. Because if not, then you wouldn't be able to change pitch of notes. Obviously, you'll still insert hi-hat rolls, but they're not going to change in pitch. And yeah, that's about it. Hope this tutorial has been helpful to you. And keep safe and shalom. Peace.